Welcome back to Hope Adon, right here at Hope TV, where you look and you live. It's time for the newspaper review. My name is George Kishoro.
And my name is Beatrice Nude, and definitely it's time for us to peruse through the papers to see what is being reported. And starting us off, we're gonna begin with the Standard and the very first top story. We are still on the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment, of course, and it says here, "You are out," DP told as he goes for Ruto. The state tells court Rigathi Gachagua ceased being deputy president on the day he was impeached and should pave way for the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki, even as the impeached DP accuses President Ruto, Parliament and state agencies of flouting the law during his removal proceedings. And remember, on the same, we had a quite extensive public participation, and according to the report, 224,000, this is the number of Kenyans who volunteered their views in Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment, according to National Assembly lawyer Benson Milimo. This is a story covered in page 4 and also 5. And, we have been following up on the Finance Act 2023. And fortunately or unfortunately, or should I say fortunate for some people, unfortunate for others.
It's fortunately for the government.
Exactly.
Unfortunately for the vast majority.
Yes.
Yeah.
This time, majority has not won.
Yeah.
Page 6, Supreme Court hands Ruto relief, clears way for the Finance Act 2023. So judges overturned a ruling by Court of Appeal, which had declared the law unconstitutional. And 7 judges led by Chief Justice Martha Koome find some of the sections unconstitutional. But vile kumeenda ndio kumeenda.
And actually, it's also covered on page 6 of the Standard of the Nation, rather. Same page, page 6. They say Apex Court reinstates Finance Act of 2023.
Yes.
The National Treasury has scored a big win after the Supreme Court overturned the nullification of the Finance Act 2023, allowing the government to continue collecting taxes using the laws. A full bench of the top court ruled that Parliament adhere to the required legislative process of public participation and concurrence when enacting the laws. And you can read that on page number 6.
All right. And of course, a total of 11 petitions had been lodged before the High Court by 49 respondents, all challenging the constitutionality of the act. But tuseme zimeingia, tunasema kitumbua kimeingia mchanga, and this has been approved. And moving on to the top stories here, I see here focus shifts to KCSE as grade 6 test closes. This is a story on page 9. So now we are gearing up towards wale ambao sasa wanaenda kufanya KCSE as KPSEA is now wrapping up. Wale wa grade 6, that is, result will 3 years later contribute to 20% to a student's final assessment at the end of junior secondary, that is grade 9, and the score will partially determine where the student will join senior secondary school. And I see here, while the grade 6 assessment has been designed to ease pressure on learners and suppress the need to score high grades, it is emerging it will play a role in the student's progress from junior secondary to senior secondary school. So whatever reasons that were given, ati tutoa hii pressure mingi.
Bado iko.
Kwanza walisema no cheating. So they are really, still the pressure is there. It was meant to ease the pressure, but the pressure is still there because either way, exams have to be done for them to qualify for senior secondary. But we do wish them all the best, and even those who are now coming in to do the KCSE as well, we wish them all the very best, not just in their examinations, but also way after when they receive their results. And at page 8, I see varsity lecturers resume strike, accused state of ignoring them. And I see here, this is the second strike in under 2 months after another was suspended on September 26. Obviously, the state is busy with impeaching Gachagua at the moment. But I see among the Don's demands is an automated annual pay increment of 4%, 4.3 billion shillings being the amount the lecturers say the government offered them over 2 years so that they could return to work.
And actually, that is on the back page of the Daily Nation. Learning paralyzed universities as dons begin job boycott. Lecturers Union wants the government to fully honor an agreement that was signed to end previous strike. Government has been accused of neglecting employees while spending money on non-priority projects and activities. It's a story that you can read on the back page of the Daily Nation.
All right. And interesting, there's something interesting that is also covered on the top page here, and that is on the business page about Kenya Power from loss to 30 billion shilling profits. Okay, that is on the business page 14, and definitely that is quite a huge strike. You know, you wonder, okay.
I saw when the results were announced, and yet so questions were, it has been making losses over the years, but finally, after Adani comes in, all of a sudden there is a profit.
No, it's 30
but it's a good
billion.
thing.
I have to confirm.
We want those parastatals to make money.
It's true. Hallelujah. Why do I feel you?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy. Kenyans are buying tokens and all.
And you know, they've been hiked double and whatnot. So
if they're making money, well and good.
Jamani, haina shida. But 3.19 billion was Kenya Power's net loss for the year ended June 2023, but now we are seeing something different, and the strengthening of the Kenya shilling against the US dollar has resulted in a 30.8 billion net profit for Kenya Power for the financial year ending June 2024. From a loss of 3.19 in the previous financial year to a profit of 30.8 billion.
Huge.
That's a huge margin. I mean, that's a very extremely huge margin. Let's continue to see how it progresses. But the firm's general manager in charge of finance, Stephen Vikiru, said one of the debts owed to Equity Bank was cleared early in the year, with the last one, which is a syndicated loan through World Bank, expected to be done by June 2nd, 2026. And this is a story on page 17, of course, attributing the same to the dollar, the Kenya shilling, which has strengthened against the US dollar, resulting to that kind of profit. That's a story on page 14. That's on the business page this day. And page 2, you are lying about cause of SHA hiccups, Omtata tells CS Barasa. Ministry tells court that the challenge in the new system is due to the 30 billion shilling debts. Okay, wale wanatengeneza profit ya 30 billion huku kwingine, hiyo ndio deni. You see how the balance sheet is really balancing there. But Senator Omtata and a doctor cite cases of patients being denied treatment due to the glitches. Omkio Omtata here, who is the Busia senator, adding that if the shift system is functioning as claimed, why was there a need for an extended transition plan? The contract states that the digital system will take 2 years to implement. This is a story on page 2. Remember, the NHIF was stopped, and now we are looking at the shift, which has had a lot of hiccups, and it's not even a hiccups anymore. It's a disaster, because most patients are having to take money out of their own pockets, and still we thought it was a teething problem, but now it seems to be really extensive even up to now. Justice Mamunye scheduled the case for hearing, so there will be a case being heard. And I also see the petitioners here on the same reiterated the need for immediate conservatory orders. Dr. Gikenya addressing the court from a health facility termed SHA as a scam. Well, hapo ndio tumefika, wanasema hii kitu inakani kama ni scam, but we continue to follow up on the same. And there is a case that is supposed to be heard on November the 22nd, and ordered the CS to ensure that Kenyans receive their medical services. And page 3, I see who wanted Willis Ayeko dead and why. Ayeko was at the center of a probe into the heist of 94 million shillings, which was on transit. Relatives, friends, and colleagues regret losing a generous and kind man. That's a story on page 3. And of course, page 4 and 5 is all about Gachagua, and also the Senate sealing ousted DP's fate, AG telling court. And coming down to the DN2 this day. Let's look at the enterprise on page 4, how women in Wajir are changing the status quo through entrepreneurship. Interesting. Business is about more than just earning money. It's about breaking free from the cultural shackles and financial insecurity that have limited their opportunities. This is really, really commendable and impressive. This is the cover story of the day today. Page 4, Wajir women are changing the status quo through entrepreneurship, and they are indeed doing something great. 1,200 is the number of participants in Wajir who formed 430 business groups as part of their poverty eradication efforts. Wanawake bila shaka wamesimama. And lastly, looking at the sports, the king and queen of the game, Rodri wins men's Ballon d'Or as Real Madrid boycott gala. Barcelona star Bonmati wins second successive women's title. And page 31, a student of Mourinho is a crowd pleaser. Amorim right for Man United? That's a question right there. So 39-year-old Portuguese Amorim is set to replace Ten Hag at Manchester United. The Sporting Lisbon tactician is known to prefer playing 3 at the back. Maybe you can answer that for us. Is Amorim right for Manchester United?
I reserve my comment.
You reserve?
We have had managers come in and then after 2 years they flop. So we have lowered our expectations. Actually, we don't even have expectations.
Yeah.
Akuje tu afanye, tunamwombea.
Sindio?
Yeah, because wamekuja, we have raised the bar expectations. Yeah. Then
kinaturamba.
So why?
Yeah. So wacha tuone. Acha ajiprove.
Ni kazi tu afanye. All right, let's quickly go to the Daily Nation and look at some of the stories being captured there. Of course, they had the big news, the big revelation yesterday of how telcos are being used by the police to spy on Kenyans. That was the big story yesterday. And they continue with the same in terms of the feedback and the reactions from that story yesterday. And so outrage over police phone spying expose. So here telcos have been helping to cover up abductions, killings committed by rogue agencies. So Human Rights shock greeted the exclusive Nation investigative story revealing how police have been colluding with telecoms firms to irregularly access call data and location records that are used to track and capture suspects, with the US denouncing the abuse of mobile phone users' right to privacy. The story that is on page 4, and I see there a quote by Meg Whitman, the US ambassador to Kenya, and she says the laws of privacy and rule of law around rights of a private citizen need to be respected in democracies. So you can read that story on page 4. I also see Gachagua goes after Kindiki. There is the legal battle, which is of course in the courts. And the impeached deputy president has trained his guns on his designated successor, saying he is ineligible because he was not a member of the United Democratic Alliance Party for 3 months prior to his nomination. It's on page 7. I also see main suspect in Wells Fargo HR boss murder went on spending spree. Victor Ouma Okoth was arrested on Monday in connection to the killing of Willis Ayeko, whose body was found on October 23rd. 3 days after he went missing in Siaya County. It's covered on page number 3. Then I see why spy chiefs are trooping to Kenya. President William Ruto has hosted Central Intelligence Agency Director William Burns twice this year, the latest on Monday, a week after Britain's M16 chief Richard Moore also came calling. Why are they trooping to Kenya? The answers, you could find them on page number 10. I also see shift crisis. This is what is ailing new health scheme. A doctor says amid patients' pain. An Nakuru-based surgeon has painted a grave picture of the state of healthcare, with hundreds of patients unable to access treatment due to the chaotic transition from the NHIF to the Social Health Insurance Fund. Read that story on page number 2. Looking at some of the other stories, the county news, KenGen Chinese farm link up in green fertilizer drive, push for domestic fertilizer production critical given Kenya's struggles with rising import costs. fertilizer factory is expected to be operational within the next 2 years. And notorious bandit hit with a 60-year jail term for cattle theft, that is in Samburu County. The international news, Hezbollah elects new leader Naim Qassem. He was named Hezbollah deputy chief by then Secretary General in 1991. DN2 motoring is road safety still taught in schools in modern Kenya. It would be madness to omit road safety education from the school curriculum. It's on page number 2, that is DN2 motoring. Then I see Ukraine war, North Korea, Russia send shockwaves. NATO says thousands of North Korean soldiers could soon be fighting in Ukraine. And Sudanese need protection, Guterres says. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has appealed to the Security Council for support in protecting civilians in Sudan, but says conditions are not right for the deployment of a UN force. Let's continue praying for our neighbors. And grade 9 crisis persists despite government assurances, with just 2 months to learners in the pioneer class of the CBC transitioning to grade 9. Infrastructural and staffing challenges persist even as the government claims that all is well. Back page, you can read that. Then we go to the sports pages. Kenya under-17 girls attract American Spanish interest. Team coach Cheche reveals scouts have asked about 4 junior starlets players. Vinicius believes fighting racism led to Ballon d'Or defeat. A drawn-out Ten Hag saga, anything but dynamic start to Ratcliffe's United era. And how KCB Rugby makes great coaches. Club has also produced several players who have gone on to coach different Kenyan national teams. Read that on page 34. 6 of the 12 Kenya Cup teams this season will be coached by men who have played for the bank at one point in their careers. All right. Then the Business Daily, YCA gave Safaricom Airtel temporary licenses. Decision made pending deal on permit spectrum fees. Regulator seeks fresh rules for quality, penalties for outages. And Kenya Power pays its first dividend in 6 years. Court block sale of Tuju assets in actual valuation row, and IFC plans 2.58 billion loan for steel farm in Kenya and Ethiopia. And you can read that, and there is a quote by Nderito Moreithi. This year's $1.5 billion Eurobond is costing Kenya $60 million more in annual interest than the one it repaid. Find out why on page number 9. That is what is being reported in the dailies. Let's continue to pray for our nation. A lot is happening. Let's continue to pray for the well-being of our nation, the success of our nation, prosperity of our nation, unity of our nation as well. We continue to say, when Kenya prospers, all of us will prosper as well. Time for another break. This is to pave way for the video of the day.